So Stephen Mnuchin is playing a game of political chicken by refusing to release Donald Trump's taxes to House Democrats. Now, I will remind you that these Democrats did not ask nicely. They basically said, you need to hand these over, and you need to hand them over now. All right, well, now, Mnuchin had recently sent a letter to House Democrats claiming that after consulting with the Justice Department, he had determined that the House Ways and Means Committee's request for 6 years' worth of the president's tax returns, quote, lacks a legitimate legislative purpose. Basically, that's his way of saying, nope, you are not going to have it. Awesome. By awesome, I mean, what's going to happen to Steve Mnuchin? We'll get into that, and that will be awesome. Now, it's funny that he says, oh, well, there's no legitimate purpose here. Well, okay, well, how about the numerous congressional investigations into Donald Trump's finances, which could show that he is, in a way, compromised towards some of the debts that he owes, or has been part of criminal activity involving money laundering, emoluments, etc. I mean, you know. Now, the issue here, aside from Trump hiding whatever is in his taxes, is what will happen to Stephen Mnuchin for actually doing that. And the law is pretty clear here. It expressly states that upon written request from the chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means of the House of Representatives, the chairman of the Committee on Finance of the Senate, or the chairman of the Joint Committee on Taxation, the secretary, shall furnish such committee with any return or return information specified in such request. Well, the House did ask for those returns. They subpoenaed Mnuchin, and Mnuchin, as I told you, just gave a fat FU. They don't care. So, now where are they? Where are they? Well, part of Mnunchin's defense is, well, I'm not going to release them. Not only do they have no legitimate legislative purpose, but they also violate Donald Trump's vaunted privacy. Privacy. Okay, well, now, wait a minute here. So, that means that any sort of document that has any sort of personal information cannot be requested by Congress because, hey man, it violates my personal information. You can't have it. You can't have it. I have my right to privacy. I mean, old tax returns have private information in it. Apparently, that has already been adjudicated. According to the Washington Post, Congress previously decided by statute that concerns about privacy are secondary to the House's oversight responsibilities. Moreover, it's not up to Mnuchin, i.e. Trump, to decide what constitutes a legitimate purpose. So, from that, it's pretty simple to surmise that the secretary is attempting to protect his boss, Donald Trump, from embarrassment and conceal potential conflicts of interest and possible improper receipt of foreign emoluments. Now, we don't know for sure if that's the case. There's a pretty clear way to figure that one out. Release the returns. That's it. Release the returns. All this blocking makes me think that there is something going on. And there are experts out there that agree. Robert Reich tweeted out, AG Barr's failure to comply with subpoena is bad enough. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin's failure to comply with a law, one that explicitly authorized the House to obtain a taxpayer's return, is even worse. The House must immediately sue Mnuchin. No one is above the law. And finally, Representative Ted Lieu also says the Democrats' request for President Trump's tax returns is, quote, black letter law, saying that it's plain as day, and I don't see how Steve Mnuchin can come to this decision to simply violate the law. Congress must litigate this, and we will win that court case. So now, what's fun about this is not only, of course, experts weighing in on social media, but also regular people. Here you have the new hashtag, Lock Mnuchin Up. Lock him up. Lock him up. That's fun. Now, those of you who are screaming, no, what are you doing? Don't talk about locking him up. But wait, imagine if Hillary Clinton did the same thing. If she was hiding her tax returns or the tax returns of someone else. I mean, come on. They already called to lock her up over less. Just saying. But look, will anything actually happen to Mnuchin? I don't know. I think there's doubt that Mnuchin will actually be held in contempt or go to jail. Powerful people almost never get held accountable, even if they break the law. So, but now, maybe there's other things could happen. Maybe you could find, right? Last month, legal experts told Roll Call that failure to comply with a congressional subpoena could lead the secretary being held in contempt, hit with daily fines, or even jail time. Now, could he get fined? Probably. But you never know, right? George K. Yin, a professor at the University of Virginia Law School and former chief of staff of the Joint Committee on Taxation, that is one of the committees that can subpoena and get tax records, said this: to me, the person who is most vulnerable to this is Mnuchin, because of course the statute directs Mnuchin to do something. So if he doesn't comply, then he's the one in violation, which of course is the way President Trump prefers everything. Well, let's be fair about that. President Trump, look, if something happens to Mnuchin, for Mnuchin protecting Trump's taxes, I don't know if that's going to be enough for Trump to say, oh, he is being supremely loyal to me, and I shall do what I can to protect him. Or if he'll just be like, whatever, dude, that's your problem now. Ha ha, sucker, you actually protected me. Who knows with Donald Trump, right? Now, Yin continues. He says the statute is very clear and seems like very strong support for what Committee Chairman Richard Neal is trying to do. I think he obviously needs to think very seriously about that, and him referring, of course, to Mnuchin. So he could theoretically get into some major trouble over this. William Olden McDaniel Jr., an attorney with Ballard Spart LLP, who has represented officials in both Democratic and Republican administrations, also told Roll Call that after finding Mnuchin in contempt, the House could then apply to a court to enforce that contempt order by requiring him to turn over or suffer some sort of coercive penalty, either fines or putting someone in jail until they comply. Again, that would be fun. I don't think it'll happen because, again, I think Donald Trump has spent the last near 4 years putting loyalists into positions of power to then protect him. And so I'm very, very cynical. However, Mnuchin must not be too worried as he continues to refuse to hand over those tax returns. Now, there is one more piece that could explain his refusal, and that's the fact that Trump has a loyalist inside the IRS. Now, the president directly requested earlier this year that Mitch McConnell prioritize a confirmation vote for a man named Michael Desmond. Right? Now, Michael Desmond would be the chief counsel of the IRS. Now, the New York Times reported this last month. Quote, Desmond reportedly advised the Trump organization on tax issues and worked with its current tax counsels. He currently reports directly to the IRS Commissioner and Treasury General Counsel, and per the IRS website, is in charge of all matters pertaining to the interpretation, administration, and enforcement of the IRS code, as well as all other legal matters. Simply put, if you wanted somebody to help you hide your tax information from the government, well, this guy would be a pretty good choice. He'd be a pretty good person to have on your side. So think about that when you think about the possibility of Mnuchin going to jail. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.